Welcome. It's been a while, but it's finally time for another Star Rail DPS Showdown. Hailing from the Shenzhou Zhumyang, please welcome Yunli. Fierce and determined, she's made a name for herself as a prodigious swordmaster under General Huaiyan's guidance. We'll see how she stacks up as the newest 5-star in town, being the second physical destruction character of her kind, if you don't count physical Trailblazer. She's rocking an S5 Eon with 999 traces, 4-piece Valorous with 2-piece Salsodo. Nothing too crazy to call out here, but I did try to prioritize crit rate because she gets a lot of crit damage self-buffing on her ults. Of course, she is E0. Her opponent today will be none other than the tenacious young girl from the underworld, Clara. Clara's held up well as the original counter-based character, and I'd say she's only gotten better as of Yunli's release. S5 Eon as well, and 999 traces. 4-piece Longevous, because that is by far my best set for her, better than my Streetwise one, and the same 2-piece Salsodo as Yunli. My Clara is E2, but I'd say it's fair considering she's a standard 5-star going up against a limited one. But overall, I'd say both of them have fairly solid builds. Today's challenge will be taking place in the second half of Memory of Chaos 12, Dissipation of Dreams. The rules are simple. I'm doing 10 complete runs for each, so if I'm resetting early because of bad RNG, most notably as a result of Tingyun, the run doesn't count, and whoever clears it in the least cycles will be crowned the winner. No limited 5-star light cones this time, which is a bit of an issue for Yunli since she doesn't have any innate taunt boosters like Clara, so to fix that we'll be running Lynx as our first support. They'll also get Tingyun and Robin, which in most cases are both Yunli and Clara's two best supports. Again, you might find more or less success if you try this yourself, but these will be my best attempts with my own self-imposed restrictions given the limited amount of attempts. I did try all the other endgame modes, and I'll just give you my thoughts. For future DPS showdowns, I'll make it a best of 3, and the first to 2 wins would be the winner, but for Yunli and Clara specifically, there's a bit of a problem with the way Pure Fiction and Apocalyptic Shadow are designed currently. Clara's lack of on-demand damage makes it really hard for her to deal with waves of enemies that just don't attack at all, and in Apocalyptic Shadow, when the enemy is weakness broken, she just can't do enough damage before they recover. So we're gonna focus on MoC this time, but anyway, let's go take a look at our support builds. We're bringing Lynx mostly for the increased aggro for Yunli and Clara, but she's also going to be really important on quid pro quo to give Tingyun 2 ults before the enemies even move. You'll see this in action in just a second once we get through these. Nothing too special about her build, she's just on a standard healer plus utility. Let's go over to Tingyun. Her main job here is mostly to keep everyone's ults active, including Robin's. She'll be on Dance 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 for some extra turn manipulation, and of course, 4-piece Eagle, 2-piece Von Whack, very speedy. In the right circumstances, she can get up to 5 or even 6 turns in a single cycle. Moving on to Robin. I do have E1 Robin, which is also why she's not going to be running her signature. We're going to give her a little bit of a nerf that way, but her E1 is really strong. Planetary Rendezvous is still a good light cone though. It buffs not only her own damage, but any physical damage on the team, so Yunli and Clara. But those are the supports. We're good to go here, no more delays. Let's get on with the show. Okay, you saw me Tingyun ult on Robin, which will let us enter Concerto, or Concerto, right off the bat. Lynx is guaranteed to refill Tingyun's energy here, so she'll be able to ult again very shortly, thanks to our quid pro quo, of course. We're also going to be tracking Clara and Yunli's damage in this fight, as well as Concerto. I did count Tingyun's Benediction lightning damage as Clara and Yunli's themselves, because they're based off their stats, not hers, but also because I'm a bit lazy and I don't want to do the extra work. And I don't think Tingyun and Lynx will be contributing more than 5% of the overall team damage anyway, especially when factoring in the memory turbulence, which I will be at the end of this. I'll have all the stats in a nice chart just for your own interest. But anyway, this fight, you can see with this opener, Tingyun gets to very low health, which can be very anxiety inducing, and I can't tell you how many times I had to reset because of it, but sometimes you just gotta play risky. The game plan here is to set up as best as we can for the Argenti wave, because with my current setup, she's not able to zero cycle the first wave, so we just want to make sure all our characters have full energy for the next. We're also taking quite a bit of damage, so we do need to be careful with Lynx as our solo sustain. One thing I do want to point out is that despite all endgame modes having physical weak enemies, they're not really tailored for Clara. Like this enemy, for example, just doesn't attack you, so Clara can't even counter at all. Hopefully that's not a trend for future enemies. It's just a little frustrating for characters like Clara. Sometimes Yunli does have a way to get around that though, but for Aventurine as well, because he needs those stacks to be able to follow up attack, get those shields going. But we're almost done here, just stalling a bit longer, making sure we get as much energy as possible. Clara will be able to start the next wave with 2 enhanced counters as well, and it's about time we head over to Yunli. This is pretty much the exact same opener as the Clara side. We're just going to ult on Robin, skill on Yunli. Robin set up her skill, and then Lynx gives Tingyun a proc of Quid Pro Quo, and we're able to enter Concerto. The one advantage that Yunli kind of has here is she starts with an ult stack because she has a max energy of 240, which does give her a bit of an advantage in that regard over a lot of other characters. Let's see how she does here. Will she be able to match Clara's pace, fall behind, or even exceed it? We're going to play a dangerous game again with Tingyun just to squeeze out a little more energy. Don't try this at home, I highly don't recommend it. But it's looking really good here thanks to Yunli's raw damage output. We should be able to take this out with maybe just one more enhanced counter. The only issue with taking them out that early is we won't be able to start the next wave with Tingyun's ult at full for that team-wide advance at the start, but it's definitely worth it for the one less cycle taken to clear the first wave. Alright, we are back on Clara's team, and we're able to ult right away on Robin so we can enter Concerto as soon as she leaves it. Getting some chip damage here with Robin, and we're hoping Clara is the only one targeted here. She's probably got around an 80-something% chance right now with Lynx's skill, so that should make it pretty consistent. One problem I did run into is Clara actually loses her Longevous stacks because she's not getting attacked by that cupbearer dude. So we go down from 90-something% crit rate to 74, but yeah, some missed crits on some attempts is a bit scuffed. This time we are lucky though. Breaking that ad is also pretty nice because it gives Clara that second effect from her light cone, Eon, which will give her a bit of damage percent. The reason why I'm ulting a bit early on Robin is because if I don't, she actually won't be able to exit Concerto by the next cycle. So I need to do it now, otherwise I'll miss a timing for her ult on the next one. Unfortunately, Clara doesn't have enough damage here to push Argenti into phase 2 before the cycle ends, so we're going to need to rely on the Turbulence to do that, but it's okay, he does start phase 2 right now. If we take a look at the damage counter here, Clara's already at over 1 million, and I think that's even if we account for overkilling, which I haven't, but keep that in mind. So the reason why we wanted him to phase at the start of the cycle is so Tingyun can break the shield here, and Clara doesn't have to waste an attack on doing that. Gonna get a full value skill off, and then we'll be able to tank a big hit. Big 200k counter. Let's just heal up just in case. And another 200k. We also get Clara's ult back, so we are able to shoot out 2 more enhanced counters. Unfortunately, there are no more enemies to attack us for the remainder of this cycle, but with Lynx attacking here, we get enough energy to Robin ult, and we should be able to squeeze in a bit more extra damage from 3 more attacks. If we skill here on Tingyun, we'll get enough energy to ult and push everyone forward with Dance Dance Dance. We'll wait for everyone to finish their 0 AV turn. One more skill from Clara. Unfortunately though, we won't be able to push them past the cycle, so it's gonna end. I'll let it play out, let you see what happens. Clara for the finish, and a respectable 3-cycle clear. Back to Yunli, we don't have Tingyun's ult, but we are able to dish out a big hit thanks to Yunli's ult. Fully clearing the field, and we are going to prioritize getting energy back on Tingyun so that we can get energy back on Robin, enter Concerto as soon as possible. Make sure we have that aggro up. If we had a bit more energy, we might have been able to get 2 ults off here on Argenti's 2 attacks, but only going to be able to get 1, but it's okay. Some massive damage and a big hit from Argenti. No problem sustaining that. Lynx is doing a really good job. Tingyun pulls herself ahead of Robin's Concerto ending, so we get 1 more last hit. Just like with the Clara run, we're going to ult immediately, just in case we aren't able to exit Concerto by the next cycle. Lynx and Yunli wouldn't have been able to phase Argenti without Robin ult active, so Argenti's phasing at the exact same point either way. If we somehow get really unlucky and the Turbulence doesn't take out the shield on Argenti, then we'd be a bit screwed, but luckily it does hit, and we're going to be able to get a couple good counters off. Everyone does get pretty low, but luckily we do have Lynx's ult. This will top everyone back up to near full health. And from here on, it's pretty much over. We even have a Robin ult if we need, but doesn't look like we'll need it, so we'll ult on Yunli. You can see Tingyun jumping all the way back up the action order there. Just in time to give Yunli one last skill, and I'll let you enjoy this final hit. Over 2 million damage done, and she cleared it in 1 cycle. So I guess that concludes this DPS showdown. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate a lot if you left a like and sub, but let's go over some of the results here. Yunli is today's winner. Only the cycle count here is really relevant, but I thought it'd be interesting to look at some of the other numbers. I do think, especially with maxed out traces, the 2 cycle for Clara would be possible, but this is the best I could do right now with those teams and my builds. Anyway, one thing that does stand out to me is Yunli used more ults than Clara, and it's kind of interesting to think because Clara is pretty good with her energy economy having a lower cost ult, but because Yunli gets an extra 15 energy when she procs her talents, it just lets her ult more frequently. I did mention this earlier, but it does help as well that she starts with 120 energy, which is enough for 1 ult because her max energy is 240. She was able to do over 3/4 of the overall damage if we're including the Turbulence, which is pretty solid considering Robin does contribute a lot as well, not including Tingyun or Lynx, but those are fairly insignificant. Clara's not far behind either, easily over 60% of the team's damage. Of course, because we got 3 Turbulence procs instead of 1 on the Yunli team, it is a little bit higher, but it shows Clara does pull her own weight. Anyway, that's pretty much everything. For sure, in future DPS showdowns, I want to include all 3 endgame modes. It was just a little difficult this time around, but thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.